Hi everyone, I'm Karan and welcome to Karan's Gyan. The stock on focus for today is Reliance Jio. I would be talking about Reliance's 5G plan and I would discuss a lot of things about this plan. I would discuss about what all Reliance needs to achieve this plan. How would Reliance deploy its 5G ecosystem and what all are the hindrances in achieving this ambition. All right. So you might have read the news today that Reliance Jio in its annual report said that it would play a key role in development of 5G ecosystem in India. The report also said that the government would be conducting next round of spectrum auctions during the fiscal year 2021, which is this year, of course. Considering the fact that Jio, with its 5G ready network and extensive fiber assets, it can play a key role in developing a 5G ecosystem in India. So, this might seem a lot of fancy words to you. I would break it down for you and explain you in detail. So, now the question is, can Reliance achieve 5G in India? And if it can achieve 5G in India, what all does it need? And what is the cost it will have to pay to bring 5G into India? So before we discuss about Reliance Jio, we need to think what all things you require to achieve 5G. Number one, fiber optic backhaul. Second thing is spectrum, and third thing is 5G compatible infrastructure and equipment. So I would discuss each of this in detail, and I would tell you what Reliance has and what Reliance doesn't have, and if Reliance doesn't have a particular thing, what is it doing in working on it. So first thing, fiber optic backhaul. So backhaul is pretty much what Geo has right now. So what is a backhaul? Backhaul interlinks the core network to smaller subnetworks. So it basically links the network, the main core network, which is providing all the data center, which has all the data centers, which has all the network capabilities, to individual cell sites, which are basically towers. So whenever you see a tower, the tower is basically not standalone. It is connected to a core network. Alright, so how do you connect a tower to its core network? Well, there are two ways to connect it. First, you can connect it via microwave, so it can be wireless. All right, and second way to connect a cell site to the network, second way to connect a tower to the core network is through a fiber optic cable. Now, the problem here, of course, is for 5G network, a fiber optic cable is required. In a 4G 5G environment, a microwave based backhaul, a wireless based backhaul cannot be possible because it won't be able to provide you the speed of 100 Mbps to 10 Gbps. You need a optic cable because basically the bandwidth or the capacity, I would say, of a wireless network is not as great as a wired network, which in this case is a fiber optic cable. So you need fiber optic cable to achieve 5G network. So it basically means your core network should connect individual towers, individual cell sites via a fiber optic backhaul. And Reliance has a excellent fiber optic backhaul infrastructure according to Morgan Stanley. So Morgan Stanley is a very big bank. So Morgan Stanley says that Geo has the largest fiber network among private operators if you compare it to Airtel and Vodafone. It has 11 lakh route kilometers, and this 11 lakh route kilometer is far higher than about 2.95 lakh route kilometers of Airtel and 1.6 lakh route kilometers of Vodafone. So as you see, Reliance Jio has already started improving their infrastructure for fiber optic backhaul, and look at the difference. Jio has about 11 lakh kilometer of fiber optic cable, whereas uh, Airtel has about one fourth of its cable. It has about 3 lakh fiber optic route kilometers. So Jio might witness a quicker and smoother transition to 5G compared to others. So Airtel would have to come up with funding and deploy its infrastructure for fiber optic backhaul cables. All right. So going to the second part, spectrum. So you need a spectrum which can basically be used for 5G transmission, because for wireless transmission you basically need a spectrum, and that spectrum can help you in making calls and getting calls, in sending data and receiving data. So that's why you need spectrum. So the thing is, the pricing of spectrum has been a contentious issue. So what I mean by contentious, something that causes argument. So it has been a very heated issue between Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea, between private players, and even Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea. So Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel have a lot of arguments regarding the pricing of 5G spectrum, because this article basically sums up the reason for this argument. India has priced the spectrum. So spectrum is generally priced in megahertz. It has priced at 492 crores per megahertz. Whereas if you see other countries like South Korea, United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, Finland, South Korea 70 crores, United Kingdom 71 crores, Spain 20 crores, Italy 175 crores, Finland 1.89 crores. So do you see the price difference? So that's why this has always been a very heated argument. And the sector regulator, which is sector regulator for the spectrum allocation, the regulator has said that there needs to be a minimum sale of 20 megahertz. So 20 megahertz, with each megahertz priced at 492 crores, telecommunication companies would be spending as much as 10,000 crores for 20 megahertz. And if they want to acquire 100 megahertz, they'll have to spend 50,000 crores. So, getting into the details of the spectrum offered, India is offering a spectrum band between 3300 megahertz to 3400 megahertz. So, the difference is 100 megahertz. And it is offering 175 megahertz in the range of 3400 to 3600 megahertz. So, total availability is 275 megahertz. And if government sells all the spectrum, it'll get a revenue of about 1,35,000 crores. So this again can cause competition between companies, if at all they are able to pay, because Bharti Airtel and Vodafone have been in trouble lately and they don't have that much cash available to buy spectrum at this higher price. Okay, moving on. 5G compatible infrastructure and equipment. Now, most of the phones you have are basically 4G compatible. So, for 5G compatible, if 5G infrastructure is deployed, you might not be able to use 5G infrastructure as it is. You would need phones that are capable of accessing 5G. So you need equipment, better phones, so the phone market have actually, most of the phones available right now that are being sold this year are actually 5G compatible. But for those people who have bought phones in the previous years, they may not have phones that are like 5G compatible. So that is another issue for people, for Reliance Jio. And so talking about infrastructure, so Reliance Jio has played an amazing game in this third point. Reliance Jio has squashed all the competition in deploying its infrastructure and equipment. So what Reliance Jio has done is, it was reliant on Samsung for its 4G infrastructure, and it felt, why do you have to rely on someone when India is such a big country, and India being such a big market, and India being such a successful country, being such a developed country, why does it have to rely on Samsung as a whole for providing 4G infrastructure? Reliance thought is India that backward a country that it has to buy infrastructure, telecom infrastructure from other countries. So Reliance Jio has laid groundwork for the operator to become self-sufficient in this regard. It has merged with 4G developer RAN Core Technologies in 2017. Look at how far Reliance Jio is thinking. In 2017 itself, they decided that they want to enter the 5G market, and they took steps to make them self-sufficient. Now, this is a master stroke by Mukesh Ambani. Not only he'll not rely on companies like Samsung, Nokia, Hawaii, and Ericsson, it will be self-sufficient and it can maybe enter a 5G market itself. Maybe it can provide 5G infrastructure to different countries and make India a leader in this segment. Additionally, Reliance Industries has also acquired Radisys. So basically, when you have some infrastructure, when you have some hardware, you need software also for it. So Radisys is the software company that can help integrate its 5G infrastructure. So you need software to integrate some hardware. So it has thought that also, that if it's buying a developer or hardware developer, why does it buy a software developer? Because again, it'll have to outsource software. So rather build your own hardware and build your own software for 5G network. The in-house tech can help Geo race further ahead of its rivals that are already racked by its huge disruptive pricing game. So basically, Geo is like the senior in the college who's ragging its juniors, Vodafone and Idea, by providing, like a disruptive pricing game, by disrupting the pricing game by providing cheap prices to its consumers. So it is basically the senior who is ragging the juniors in a college. Again, Jio has sought government's permission to undertake 5G trials in India using its own technology and design. With this, Jio has emerged as the first Indian telecom major to seek 5G trials based on its self-designed technology. Now look at this jump Jio has made. How Reliance has come up from a petrochemical company to a company that has disrupted the telecom industry, and not only it has disrupted the telecom industry, it is trying to enter all facets, all sides of the telecom industry. It is making its own hardware, it's making its own technology, so that it doesn't have to rely on other companies. If trials are successful, this would end Reliance Jio's dependence on Samsung, which earlier was its sole equipment supplier for 4G technology. As I said before, Reliance Jio won't be dependent on Samsung again. With Vodafone Idea, Airtel has submitted their proposals jointly with Ericsson, Nokia, Hawaii, and ZTE. So this is another last point. I'm telling you what Jio's competitors are planning. So Vodafone Idea, and Airtel have proposed, like joint 5G infrastructure development with Ericsson, Nokia, Hawaii, and ZTE. So now you see Hawaii here. Hawaii is a Chinese company, as you know, and this proposal might face headwinds in the future because India is boycotting Chinese goods. And since this proposal was submitted before India-China, tensions, this proposal might face headwinds. I'm not saying it would face headwinds, but it can face headwinds, and it's another, a punch to Vodafone Idea and Airtel to their mission to deploy 5G. So, guys, this is my report on Reliance Jio 5G's plans and how Reliance Jio can achieve it. I feel Reliance Jio can achieve 5G in the next coming year, and trust me, it can be self sufficient in deploying its own infrastructure and equipment, and it already has a fiber optic backhaul. So the only problem here is the spectrum. So Reliance would have to shell out a lot of money for the spectrum, but since Reliance has acquired a lot of money from its Geo platforms deal. I don't think it can be an issue, but this is 100% an issue for Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea. So what I feel is, you should invest in Reliance if you want to invest in on a long term basis, and I'm sure you'll earn a lot of money. So guys, this is it about Reliance Jio. If you like the video, please press the like button, and if you find this knowledge informative, please subscribe to my channel. I post a lot of quality content which I feel other YouTubers in this segment, in the stock market segment, lack. Thank you.